Thornfield Hall was gray and old and larger than any house I had ever entered as anything but a servant. Mrs. Fairfax met me, the housekeeper, gentle, a little deaf, kinder than anyone had been to me in years, and I mistook her at first for the lady of the house. She was not. She only kept it. The master, she said, was often away. His name was Mr. Rochester. My pupil was a little French girl named Adèle, bright, vain, sweet, the ward of Mr. Rochester, placed in his care after her mother, a French dancer, abandoned her. I liked Adèle. Teaching her gave my days shape, and Thornfield gave me something I had not expected: comfort. Good food, a warm room, work I was suited to, hours that were my own. But from the first week I felt it: a house too big for its silence, and one sound that did not belong: a laugh. High up, on the third floor, strange, low, and then rising into something that was not quite laughter at all. Mrs. Fairfax told me it was Grace Poole, a seamstress who worked upstairs and drank. I accepted it, the way you accept things in a house that is not yours to question. But I did not believe it. Not fully, not ever. I met Mr. Rochester before I knew he was Mr. Rochester. I had walked out one frozen January evening to post a letter, and on the lonely lane I heard a horse coming, and a great dog, and then a clatter and a curse. The horse had slipped on ice, and the rider was down. He was not young, not handsome in any smooth way, dark, broad, stern-browed, with a face that looked as though it had weather in it. He was angry at being helped, and angrier at needing it. He leaned on my shoulder to remount, demanded to know who I was and where I came from, and rode off into the dark without thanks. When I returned to Thornfield, the same great dog lay by the hall fire. The master had come home, and the man I had helped on the ice was Mr. Rochester. I want to tell you honestly what happened between us, because it was not what happens in the stories girls are told. He did not court me. He talked to me. He summoned me to the fire in the evenings and interrogated me. Sharp, abrupt, testing. And I answered him plainly, because I had never in my life learned how to flatter, and I was too poor and too plain to bother. I told him what I thought. I contradicted him. And this ordinary honesty, was apparently the rarest thing anyone had ever offered him. He was surrounded by people who wanted his money and feared his moods. I wanted nothing, and I did not fear him. And so, slowly, over fire-lit evenings, two lonely people who had each been failed by the world began, without either of us admitting it, to need the sound of the other's voice. He was moody. He disappeared for days. He carried something heavy that he would not name, but he made me feel, for the first time since Helen Burns, that I was interesting, that my mind was worth speaking to, and I fell in love with him the way a practical person falls, quietly, completely, and against my own better judgment. Then came the night of the fire. I woke to that laugh again, close, this time, wrong, and to smoke curling under my door. I ran to the master's room. His bed was burning, curtains and all, and he lay senseless in it. I dragged the water from the basin and the ewer and drowned the flames, and I woke him half choking, and I saved his life. He stood there in the ruined, dripping room and looked at me with an expression I had no name for. He asked who could have done it, And then, strangely, he told me to tell no one, to say nothing, and he went up to the 3rd floor alone and came down changed and murmured something about Grace Poole. He held my hand a long time that night. He called me his cherished preserver. And I went back to my cold bed and could not sleep, because I understood 2 things at once: that he felt something for me, and that he was lying to me about that room upstairs. I tried to cure myself of him. I did. When a party of fine guests descended on Thornfield, among them the beautiful, cold, accomplished Miss Blanche Ingram, everything I was not, and rumored to be the woman he would marry. I made myself sit in the corner and watch him charm her. I drew my own portrait in plain chalk and labeled it Portrait of a Governess, disconnected, poor, and plain. And I drew Blanche Ingram in ivory and jewels, and I made myself study the 2, so that I would never again forget my place. It did not work. You cannot chalk love out of yourself. Strange things kept happening in that house. A stranger arrived, a Mr. Mason from the West Indies. And in the night, I heard a cry, a real one, human and terrible, from the 3rd floor. Rochester begged me to help in secret. I sat for hours in a locked upper room with Mason, who had been stabbed and bitten, pressing cloth to his wound, forbidden to speak to him, while behind a further door something snarled like an animal. By dawn, Mason was spirited away, sworn to silence. And still, Rochester told me nothing, and still I stayed. Love, I was learning, will make you the keeper of secrets you have not been trusted with. Then word came that Mrs. Reed, my aunt from Gateshead a lifetime ago, was dying and asking for me. I went. She confessed at the end that 3 years earlier a letter had come for me. My father's brother, an uncle in Madeira, wealthy, childless, wishing to adopt me and make me his heir. And out of pure spite, she had written back that I had died at Lowood. She had stolen a family and a fortune from me, and she died without asking my forgiveness. I gave it anyway, not for her sake, for mine. I came back to Thornfield as though coming home, and on a warm midsummer evening in the orchard, Mr. Rochester found me. He tormented me first. He was cruel that way, talking of his coming marriage to Blanche Ingram, of sending me away to a new post in Ireland, far across the sea. And something in me broke open, and I said the thing I had never meant to say aloud, that it grieved me to leave Thornfield because I had been treated as a person here, because I could not bear to be torn from the one face and I stopped. And then I did not stop. I told him I was not a machine without feelings, that I had as much soul as he and full as much heart, that if God had made me beautiful and rich, I would have made it as hard for him to leave me as it was for me to leave him. I am not talking to you through custom or convention, or even mortal flesh, I told him. It is my spirit that addresses your spirit, as if both had passed through the grave and stood at God's feet, equal as we are. And he took hold of me, and he said, You strange, almost unearthly thing, I love as my own flesh. You, poor and obscure and plain as you are, I entreat to accept me as a husband. I did not believe him. I thought he was mocking me, but he meant it. Blanche Ingram had been a screen, a test. He had let me believe he loved her to see what I would confess. It was manipulative. It was unkind, and I forgave it in an instant, because he was asking me to be his wife, and I loved him past all my own good sense. That night, as we stood in the orchard, a great storm broke over us, and in the morning the servants found that lightning had struck the huge chestnut tree under which he had proposed, and split it, clean down the middle, into two halves, still standing, but severed at the root. I did not read the omen. I was too happy to read anything. The weeks before the wedding were feverish. He wanted to dress me in silks and jewels. I refused them. I would not be made into a doll. I would come to him as Jane Eyre, or not at all. Strange things circled closer. One night I woke to find a figure in my room. A woman, tall, dark, with a face I will not forget as long as I live. Swollen, purple, savage, the eyes red. She took my wedding veil, and she tore it in two, and she trod it underfoot. Rochester, when I told him, swore it was a dream, or Grace Poole, and begged me to wait. After we were married, he said, he would explain everything. 1 year and a day, he said. Just trust me until then. I trusted him. God help me, I trusted him. We went to the church on a bright, quiet morning. Only 2 strangers stood at the back. The clergyman began, "If either of you know any impediment why ye may not lawfully be joined together." And a voice from the back of the church said, "The marriage cannot go on. I declare the existence of an impediment." It was a solicitor, and with him was Mr. Mason, and the impediment was this: Mr. Rochester already had a wife. She was alive. She was in that house. She had been in that house the whole time. On the 3rd floor, behind the locked door, guarded by Grace Poole. Her name was Bertha Antoinetta Mason. He had married her in the West Indies 15 years before, for her fortune and her beauty, before he knew that madness ran in her blood. And now she was violent, and raving, and beyond all reach, and she was, in the eyes of God and the law, his wife. The laugh, the fire, the bitten man, the torn veil, every locked door in Thornfield swung open in my mind at once. He took us all up to the 3rd floor to show us the truth of it. And there, in a windowless room, on all fours, snarling, was the creature I had seen at my bedside, the woman who had come to tear my veil. His wife. Rochester stood beside her, and beside me, and said bitterly, "That is my wife. And this, looking at me, grave and pale and quiet in my ruined wedding clothes, this is what I wish to have." He begged me to stay. He offered me every argument, every comfort, everything but the one thing he could not give me, an honest name. And I stood in that house I had loved, between the man I loved and the wife he had hidden, and I understood that the hardest choice of my life was about to be made, not against him, but against my own breaking heart.